This bizarre story, as Grandma recounted, was something she had personally heard in her youth. It happened in the neighboring village to the Sun family. Old Man Sun had toiled his entire life, saving up little by little. Finally, when his youngest son turned 20, he gritted his teeth and poured all his savings into building a 3-room house at the edge of the village. The house was spacious and solid, the tiles were fine, blue ones hauled in from town, and the doors and windows were made from quality hardwood. Old Man Sun thought that with a house secured, his son would have a proper foundation for marriage. The youngest son was tall, handsome, and hardworking. Matchmakers from near and far soon introduced him to a girl named Yume, the daughter of a family from the west side of town. Yume was sweet and delicate, skilled in needlework, and praised by all who knew her. The marriage went smoothly, and within 6 months the young couple were living together as husband and wife. At first everyone thought life would only get better, but strange things soon began to unfold. The first incident, about 3 months after Yume moved in, one night she suddenly got out of bed, squatted on the floor, and began rambling incoherently. From her mouth came bizarre croaking sounds, like that of a toad. Jiogwa, jiogwa, while her cheeks puffed up as though she were about to spit something out. The young husband was terrified and rushed to call Old Man Sun and his wife. They too were stunned, but Old Man Sun's wife quickly suggested seeking help from Granny Wu in the village. Granny Wu was in her 70s, and had once apprenticed with a traveling exorcist, gaining a reputation as a part-time shaman. When Granny Wu arrived, she immediately had people hold Yume down, then used a bamboo stick to inspect her body. Peering into Yume's mouth and lifting her eyelids, she frowned and said, "She's possessed by an evil spirit." That night, the Sun family burned a whole bundle of incense, kowtowed hundreds of times, and stayed up till dawn. Finally, Yume calmed down. The next morning, when asked about what happened, Yume remembered nothing, only that she had dreamt of countless toads swarming toward her, pressing on her until she couldn't breathe. The second incident, they thought it was just a one-off episode, but a few days later, Old Man Sun's wife collapsed while cutting grass in the field. Her mouth twitched and her limbs convulsed. In a panic, Old Man Sun rushed her to the town hospital, but the doctors couldn't figure it out and simply prescribed some sedatives. Back home, her condition worsened. She drifted in and out of consciousness, muttering nonsense, and scratching herself raw at night, leaving bloody scratches all over her face, arms, and back. Granny Wu was summoned once more. Circling the old woman 3 times, she sighed, "The evil energy is still lingering in your house. I fear something was buried under the foundation during construction." The suspicion grows. Granny Wu's words sent chills down Old Man Sun's spine. He thought back to the days when the house was being built. One night, while guarding the construction materials, he had heard rustling noises behind the house. Carrying a lantern, he went to check and saw a shadow darting away like a cat. He didn't think much of it at the time, assuming it was a passerby. Now it seemed likely that someone had tampered with the house under the cover of darkness. If a curse was really placed under the foundation, is there a way to break it? Old Man Sun asked urgently. Granny Wu thought for a moment and replied, "When the curse is buried beneath the house, it's the most dangerous. To fully lift it, the house must be dismantled, the cursed object removed, and then a ritual must be performed to send the evil away. Otherwise, worse things may happen in the future." Old Man Sun hesitated. The house was brand new, and tearing it down was heartbreaking. But the nightmares haunted him. He dreamt of hordes of diseased toads opening their bloody mouths as if to swallow him whole. Finally, after much struggle, he made up his mind. The talisman unearthed. With the help of several strong villagers, the Sun family dismantled the house. Sure enough, at the northwest corner of the main hall's foundation, they dug up a small clay jar. Inside were 2 shriveled toads, tightly bound together with red silk thread. Each toad's foot was tied to an old copper coin, and there was even a strand of black hair mixed in. Eerie and sinister. Granny Wu's face darkened when she saw it. This is a life-suppressing curse. It's not something an ordinary jealous person would know how to set up. Someone with specialized knowledge must be behind this. The Sun family turned pale with fear. Following Granny Wu's instructions, they carried the cursed object to a wild burial ground outside the village that very night, burned it completely, and offered a thick stack of paper money as an offering. The hidden hand. After the cursed object was removed, the strange occurrences stopped. Yume recovered and the old wife's mysterious illness disappeared. As for who had planted the curse, Old Man Sun never investigated. In his heart, he had some suspicions, most likely someone angered because the house had taken a favored feng shui spot. But confronting the perpetrator would only stir up further trouble. He often reminded his family, in this world, always leave 3 parts of caution and 3 parts of virtue. And remember, be vigilant in everything you do, especially when building a house. *** years later, when the Sun family's descendants spoke of the incident, they still shivered at the thought. Before her death, Granny Wu once sighed, "There are many ways to harm others, but none more sinister than cursing a home with toads."